We're now some 83 days to go before Election Day, and from now up until that minute when you go to vote and the results are declared, we will bring you unparalleled coverage of Election 2016 here on your election headquarters. And talking about that season of promises is here, but the sticking conversation about manifestos has just begun. After 2 hours of giving Ghanaians a glimpse of what is in the NDC's 2016 manifesto, President John Mahama has laid down his marker of why his re-election should be possible. Before we delve deep into the issues, let's quickly remind ourselves of the key points made at the presentation. And I will go through that slides for you now. On the economy, President Mahama speaks volumes about job creation. He also touched quite strongly on education. In fact, he said that $100 million will be dedicated to upgrading polytechnics to technical universities. Also, there is a bid to complete the project to eliminate schools under trees by 2021. And you would have this in mind, considering that in the run-up to the NDC winning the 2008 elections, this was one big promise they made in eliminating schools under trees. It's still work in progress, is yet to be completed. President Mahama says it will be done by 2021. Also, there's a bid to expand the school feeding exercise to all public basic schools in rural and peri-urban areas. So not only in the regional capitals and towns, but villages, towns, in very secluded areas across the country would have their own fair share when it comes to education. There was also talk of other interventions that they will do in education. Capitation grants, especially in the Ashanti region, has been one sticking point. Now, the president says they are increasing capitation by 100%. Remember, these are highlights, and so we are waiting patiently for those details in the policy document, in that manifesto, which will be launched this Saturday. There's also a plan to pilot the use of electronic textbooks. It's been christened e-books, but it comes with a catch of tablets being given to school children on a pilot basis, and if it becomes successful, it will be done across the country. Question: how much will it cost us to do this? Has enough feasibility studies been done? What happened to the earlier free laptops that were distributed in 2012 by RLG? Many have had cause to raise questions about it. We'll look at that sometime later. But there's also a promise of a 30% of new senior high schools to focus on technical education. That has become important, considering that there is a big gap between the academic or the education sector and the job market industry. There have been questions about why many of these graduates from universities are unable to transition properly into the job market. Let's see how this push for 30% into technical education will help us get the blue-collar jobs properly sorted out in that regard. And again, I need to mention that these are highlights, and so the key questions that we will need some analysis, we're yet to get a full complement of the information as spelled out yesterday, but we will do some quick analysis based on the little information we have. Let's hear from the President, John Mahama, making these points cogently about education and how they seek to change the fortunes of this country in that sector for the next 4 years. Video in just a moment, but as I mentioned, there was a 2-hour presentation touching on the 4 thematic areas which will inform the NDC's push for re-election, especially for President John Mahama, as he's seeking the mandate of Ghanaians for a second term in office. It will be the 3rd time the NDC will be asking for 4 more years in government in Ghana today. We'll bring you that video of the president speaking about education and the interventions they seek to roll out for the next 4 years. Yes, the issue of the 200 senior high schools promise, community-based senior high schools promise, has been grilled and interrogated for quite a long time. Today they're saying that 10 have been commissioned, but 123 are at various stages of completion. Per the highlights, this will be completed, the 200 will be completed within the 2nd term, if granted, from 2017 to 2021. Again, the question will be, what is the breakdown for how all of this will be done? If it's 123 at various levels of completion, when you say various, what does that mean? Are these at foundation level? Are these at levels where they only need roofing before it gets done? These are the kind of things that we will seek to interrogate, and also question whether or not in the past 4 years we have been given enough in terms of work to believe that if given a second mandate, they will be able to improve and do better than what they've done in the past in the last 4 years. Let's have the president now speaking on education and the intervention they seek to roll out in the country today.
Appear to have received a chunk of the president's almost 2 hours of highlights of the NDC's 2016 manifesto, emphasizing the need to train students to meet the skills required in the job market. President Mahama promised to establish a link between education and industry, assuring to give industry the needed support.
We establish a link between education and industry. Right now, education and industry are working at cross purposes. We're just training as many graduates as possible in different courses without looking at what industry is looking for. Education and industry must match, and there must be strong guidance counseling to guide the students into the courses that offer them better job prospects when they come out of school. Currently, we leave the children to just choose anything they want to do, and they go and do courses and come out, and they are not employable because of the courses they have done. And so we must channel the students into places where their job market prospects are much better. We will continue to promote collaborative programs between industry and educational institutions, and will provide incentives to industries and businesses that provide more room for students to do internship.
He also promised accommodation for teachers who would accept postings to rural areas. He said his government will lay emphasis on maths and science education, eliminate remaining schools under trees, continue the free school uniform and textbook distribution, and expand the free community senior high school system to absorb 120,000 boarding students. The president also promised to start a pilot of the use of electronic textbooks by giving students tablets which will contain all their core subjects.
Teacher First agenda. We will provide accommodation for teachers who accept postings to deprived rural schools. We'll continue to issue financial clearance to employ more graduate teachers. We shall place emphasis on science and maths education. If you look at the results of the BEC and WASI, and you look at qualifications from A1 to C6, you find that the results are abysmal because most of the students fail in English, mathematics, and science. And that is why it draws back the general performance of students. And so we're going to place emphasis on maths, science, and English education, and employ more teachers in these areas, and give them the incentives to be able to teach our children. We will, in the primary and junior level, we'll complete the process of eliminating the remaining schools under trees. We'll continue. I hope the target is by 2021 to have eliminated all schools under trees. That is our target. We'll continue the provision of free school uniforms and free exercise books and free school sandals to students. We'll expand the school feeding program to cover all public basic schools in rural and peri-urban communities. We're reviewing the capitation grant and increasing it by 100% in order to support the free compulsory universal basic education. And we're going to pilot the use of electronic textbooks at the secondary level, junior high school and secondary level. And so students will receive tablets that have all their core textbooks on the tablet. And if this pilot is successful, then we shall expand it across the whole school system. We will complete the construction by 2021, when I leave office, inshallah. We'll complete the construction of all the 200 community-day senior high schools I promised. We shall expand the progressively free SHS program to cover boarding students with the emphasis on needy students and students in deprived districts. This year alone, we're adding 120,000 students in boarding school to the free senior high school program.
For vocational and technical skills development, President Mahama promised increasing capacity for technical training, fitting workshops in 30 newly yet to be constructed technical institutes, and ensure that the technical universities maintain their core mandate on science, technology, and vocational training.
We'll continue to provide facilities for students with learning disability to pursue their educational programs successfully. We'll implement the second phase of the Skills Development Fund to provide grants to over 120 private sector enterprises. This is under technical and vocational education. We will increase the capacity for technical training. 30% of the new community day senior high schools that we are building will be fitted with technical workshops and facilities to offer technical and vocational programs. So it means that out of the 200 new senior high schools we are building, 30% of them will be technical schools so that we can expand the capacity for more technical education. In the next term,
so that's a quick wrap on the president and the kind of promises he made as regards education, what is being done and what will be done if he's given the chance to lead the country for 4 more years in that regard. But he touched also on a very key sector of the country. I'm talking about health, where 2 main sticking points come to the fore: NHIS and the plans to sustain it, and also the other issue of improving mental health care. Let's go through some of the key issues they raised. He said that they'll build a second military hospital in Kumasi to be completed in the 2nd quarter of next year, 5 polyclinics each for the Northern Bonafo and Greater Accra regions, 10 polyclinics alone in the Central region, and then polyclinics, I beg your pardon, between the Ashanti Volta and the Upper East region. So sharing that among the 3 regions, that will be on the average about 6 per region, and then 2 will have a bit more in that regard. That's for health and the kind of infrastructure they are investing in that regard. That's for health. But we also know that there was another issue of a comprehensive upgrade of the Temajana Hospital to modern facility, completes the 120-bed Bekwai Hospital, creates permanent body to review herbal medicine regime. These are some of the things they look to do in terms of infrastructure for the health sector. And then there's the big one on mental health. Move across psychiatric hospital to Pantang, and then develop it to a first-class mental hospital. Build 2 additional psychiatric hospitals in the Ashanti and Northern regions, and also prioritize the strict uptake of the Mental Health Act in terms of implementation. It will be interesting to find out what implementation will go into these key decisions, and also for whether or not these are the interventions required and needed for the health sector. Let's hear from the president briefly, and then we'll go back to education and do a bit of a post-mortem. Are these the things we actually require? Are these promises a reflection of what we need in this country today?
The reduction in all mortality cases, including maternal, child, neonatal, postnatal, were the highlights of the president's achievements in the health sector. According to him, 81% reduction has been chalked in deaths involving pregnant women. He assured diseases such as HIV and AIDS prevalence and malaria will be reduced drastically.
Under healthcare, we have achieved a lot. Expansion of Tamale Teaching Hospital, but even if you look at the indices, we're making progress. Maternal mortality rates are on a downward trend. Infant mortality is down. Child mortality is down. Under 5 mortality is down. It means that in all these major indices, we are reducing maternal mortality and all the other mortalities. We reduced annual AIDS deaths by 43%. We have reduced prevalence rates. We're providing prevention of mother-to-child transmission services to 81% of pregnant women. And in the next 4 years, we want to cover 100% of pregnant women with prevention of mother-to-child transmission. We reduced drastically the prevalence of HIV amongst exposed babies to 8%, down from 32%. That is significant. Our commitment in the next term will be to reduce malaria drastically. We also want to reduce cases of maternal and neonatal births by at least 50%. We want to increase supply and fair distribution of health personnel across the country. We'll complete all the ongoing regional hospitals. We'll undertake a comprehensive upgrade of the Tema General Hospital. The Tema General Hospital serves not only Tema, but Ashaman, and it has a huge catchment area. And so we're going to upgrade it completely and make it into a modern hospital.
On the issue of sustaining the National Health Insurance Health Scheme, President Mahama said his government intends proposing an allocation from the annual budget fund to augment funding of the scheme.
When the actuarial studies for the National Health Insurance were conducted, it indicated that based on the funding sources that had been identified, the National Health Insurance would last only a certain number of years. We have long since passed that period that was designated. It said that after that period, the National Health Insurance would collapse. It has not collapsed. It has even gone long beyond the period that was intended. And so it means that we need to rework the sustainability of the National Health Insurance. And so we're going to look for new sources of funding for the National Health Insurance beyond the VAT. You know, we take 2.5% VAT, then we take workers' contributions, and then we also collect premiums. Those are the main sources of funding currently. And in the next 4 years, my proposal is that a percentage of the annual budget funding amount that comes from petroleum revenues should be assigned to National Health Insurance.
President Mahama said the NDC government will prioritize mental health care by first implementing the Mental Health Act 2012, adding he will relocate the Accra Psychiatric Hospital to Pantang and modernize it with the construction of 2 additional mental health facilities in other parts of the country.
We shall prioritize mental health care and ensure strict implementation of the Mental Health Act 2012, Act 846. And one of the things we intend to do is to move the Accra Psychiatric Hospital from its current location to Pantang and develop the Pantang Mental Hospital into a first-class mental health facility. Within the next term of our administration, we will build 2 additional psychiatric hospitals, one in Ashanti and the other in the northern region. Currently, the only psychiatric hospitals we have are Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Pantang Hospital, and then Ankafo. And so we'll move Accra Psychiatric Hospital to join Pantang and develop it into a first-class facility. And then we'll build 2 more, one in Ashanti for the Middle Belt and another in the north.
So that's a quick report on the health sector and what the president had to say at the address yesterday. But in the last few hours, the New Patriotic Party has responded to the promises as listed in the NDC's manifesto. Let's hear from the Director of Communications of the party, Nana Akomia, speak specifically to promises made to develop the economy by President Mahama.
In July 2012, he met with you at the conference center on September 18 and told you what he was going to do as the president of Ghana. Let's look at some of them. Now, he said that among the priorities that he was going to be engaged in was to consolidate our achievement in holding down inflation and maintaining macroeconomic stability. At that time he was speaking, inflation was single digit. Now he said he was going to hold it down. What is inflation today? 4.5 years down the line, inflation is more than 16%. More than 16%. So he failed. He said he was going to maintain macroeconomic stability. Where's the macroeconomic stability? Today we are the IMF to get policy credibility. After promising to maintain macro stability, he himself didn't have confidence in his own policies. So he had to go to the IMF for credibility. So complete failure. He also told us, or he told you when he met you, that he was going to maintain discipline in government expenditure so as to avoid unbudgeted expenditure that can distort the economy. He spoke in September. In December, he led this country to the biggest deficit in the Fourth Republic, when he had promised just 4 months earlier that he was going to maintain discipline in government expenditure. Talk about the cedi. At the time he was speaking, the cedi was 1 cedi 80 pesos to the dollar, and that he would maintain the value. Today, the cedi is almost 4 cedis to the dollar. At one point, it became the worst depreciated currency in the whole world under President Mahama's watch. He also said that he will effectively implement a single spine salary structure for public services so that improved remuneration can lead to increased productivity.
As the communications director of the MPP, Nana Akomia. Well, shortly after that news conference, he's been gracious enough to join us today here in the studio. Nana, thank you for joining us today. So, yes, President Mahama has given highlights of the NDC's manifesto. What's wrong with it?
Well, thank you. You see, the initial point that all Ghanaians must note is that when the political players come to us, they will tell us their vision and try to tell us that their vision is the best in terms of delivering welfare and progress for the people of this country. And you must give them the benefit of the doubt. But when the incumbent comes to make promises, because the person has been incumbent, or he is the incumbent, you have to look at the promises he's making in the light of the promises he made. And that's all that Ghanaians should do.
But was that not what he did yesterday? Present to us what he's done and what he seeks to do for the future.
So what we are telling Ghanaians is that when you look at the NDC manifesto, 2012, I can list to you over 50 promises that were unfulfilled.
Which ones?
Plenty. The NDC manifesto. But today, we talked about 7 or 8 of them. Some of them are very crucial. We talk about corruption. And Mahama, then candidate Mahama, told us in 2008 what he was going to do specifically to fight corruption. And then he told us in 2012, when he became president, what he was going to do specifically. The NDC manifesto itself talks about transparency and accountability. The 4 main themes: transparency and accountability, macroeconomic stability, social development, and then infrastructure. Apart from infrastructure, where you can see physically projects, we have things to say about that, the sole sourcing method and all of that. But at least you can see the projects. You can see the interchange at Nkrumah Circle. You can see work going on at Kaswa. You can see extension of the hospital at Ridge, and then you can see. But beyond that, the economic stability, complete failure. The social development, complete failure. The probity and accountability, complete failure.
You say economic complete failure. How do you say complete? Because if you look at the numbers, yes, it's true we had our issues with going to the IMF because the economy had gone down for a bit, but we have recovered, haven't we?
You know, when you come and meet cocoa production in 2011 of 1 million tons, and you say that you're going to build on that, and then 4 years down the line is reduced to 750,000 tons, that's failure. Those 250,000, you know, a ton of cocoa is $3,000. So multiply 250,000 tons times $3,000. Look at the amount of money we've lost. When you come and meet a growth rate of 14%, and you say you are going to build on it, and 4 years down the line, the growth rate is barely 4%. That cannot be successful.
But you appreciate that there was a slump and there is a recovery, which they say is largely based on commodities in the country, the market prices on the world market, which went bad.
When you chart the economic growth rate of this country from 2001, the only time the growth rate has fallen consistently, year after year, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, is during President Mahama's period. Consistently. The period, Kufuor 8 years, Mills 3.5 years, John Mahama 4.5 years. The only time it falls consistently, when it dropped to 9.2, then it came to 7.3, then it came to 5 point something. Today it is 4. So it cannot be just some dip. There must be something wrong with the whole management. He talked about setting up the office of the independent prosecutor. He talked about changing the serious fraud into an independent commission to fight corruption. He talked about amending the law to give SHRAC prosecutorial powers.
And what he said is, they said this on the campaign platform was captured in their manifesto.
It captured in their manifesto. He said it on campaign platforms. You know, and these are specific things. Even the regions. He said that he was going to divide the northern region into two. Specific promise made clearly. It hasn't happened in 8 years.
Okay.
So the point is that for the incumbents, your promises must be evaluated on the basis of your performance.
Now that's how you see it. But truth is, in this season, every party is expected to deliver its blueprint, what it seeks to do.
Yeah.
But the NDC has done theirs by giving us the highlights. The main one will be done this Saturday.
Yeah.
If you're pointing us to specifics of what they are promising that they are not delivering, that's fine. But you are only basing this on, in your view, your assessment of the administration.
The assessment I'm doing is objective. I'm giving you figures as to the growth rates. I'm giving you figures as to the deficit. The deficit has worsened. I'm giving you figures as to inflation. Inflation has worsened. I'm giving you figures as to interest rate. Interest rate has worsened. I'm giving you figures as to cocoa production. Cocoa production has worsened. I'm giving you figures as to Eurobond, our credibility. Even Eurobond. You know, the first time we borrowed in 2007 when we didn't have oil, we borrowed at a rate that was much lower than today when we have oil. So all the indications are negative.
Banana, why bother talk about the president's manifesto when you as a party, you're seeking to win this election? Where are the details of your manifesto? Why respond to this?
We have given a date where we'll launch our manifesto.
Which is when?
18th October.
Why 18th October?
Why not 18th October?
Because we are 3 months to go for an election.
There's no date mandated to launch your manifesto.
If you are seeking to win someone's vote, tell me what you've got to offer me.
Yeah, but we'll tell you. I'm saying we'll launch our manifesto on the 18th of October. But the NDC hasn't launched theirs. This is the third date they have announced.
They have given us highlights, in fact. But it's not just date postponement. They've given us the devil in that detail.
We give you highlights all the time. Dr. Bamia just treated the country to a brilliant expose on how we would solve our problems, especially the macroeconomy. The last time he gave us a 10-point program on how we're going to generate jobs for young people on a sustainable basis. So they are there. The industrialization program of the government, the agricultural program of the government. All of it are out there. But the consolidated document will present it to the country on 18th October. And the country will be tickled. But the basic point is that when you are the incumbent and you come and tell us you will do A, B, C, D, we have to evaluate what you told us and how you have performed. That's what that Ghanaians have to do. And you see that the record doesn't match the only thing that you would say, like I said to you, you will see an infrastructure project. But even that one, the sole sourcing has been a big drain on this country. Look, even the bus branding, sole sourcing allowed the overage more than 100%. When the investigation was conducted, it was found that the project should have cost 1.7. They were paid out 3.6. That is 1.9 million Ghana cedis over.
And the money has since been returned?
Because they were caught.
Caught by who?
Oh, they were caught by Parliament. Remember, it went to Parliament.
I recall what happened in Parliament, but the thing is this. Yes, we may have seen all these things happen, but some will say, sell us your message, rather than look to the other guy and say he's not delivering.
No, we would sell you our message. Our message is there. We've told you, look, our industrialization program is probably the boldest program any presidential candidate can bring. Our plans to prosecute the corruption, the setting up of the independent investigator, is going to be the most potent weapon we can have against corruption.
Why didn't
John Mahama made that promise. He didn't deliver.
Set up the independent prosecutor in your last time in office between 2001 and 2008?
We are talking about an Akufo-Addo administration.
It's the MPP, isn't it?
No, not necessarily. Otherwise, you have to tag President Mahama with the J. Rawlings' government. And you don't want to do that. Yeah. Even tagging him with Mills, they try to, struggle out of it. So it is, or it was, Jerry Rawlings administration, Kufuor administration, Mills administration, John Mahama administration.
So now he's given us the blueprint. Between now and October 18, what are we to get from the NPP?
Oh, you just heard from us last week. The whole nation was held spellbound last week by Dr. Baumia. It's going to continue. It's going to continue until we launch the manifesto, and it's going to continue after we launch the manifesto. But the basic point is that the NDC manifesto, President Mahama's promises, should be evaluated on the basis of his record. And so we are going to take the NDC 2012 manifesto, upon which they got a vote from Ghanaians, and look at it promise by promise and give Ghanaians the record card.
Okay, thank you, Nana, for coming today. And he's the Director of Communications for the NPP. So yes, the presentation has been done by the President, but the postmortem is also being done by the opposition political parties in the country. Well, speaking of what's happening in other camps, let's still stay with politics a while longer, because the People's National Convention has outdoored Emmanuel Anyidoho, a former lecturer at the University of Ghana, as the running mate to flag bearer Dr. Edward Mahama for the 2016 elections. According to the party, the choice was hugely influenced by his humility, grasp of the Ghanaian situation, and his exemplary and visionary leadership.
The new Ghana is visioned on the 3 pillars of a new beginning, new deal, and new force. These 3 pillars are enshrined in our party's manifesto. A new beginning is towards public sector reform with uncompromised efficiency. A new deal is to provide substantial support to upscale productivity in key sectors such as agriculture and industry and the services, while the new force is to harness the great untapped potential of our energetic youth of between 18 and 35 years to drive the wheels of national development. And in so doing, reducing unemployment considerably. Our great party and its able technocrats, such as myself, will provide the technical knowledge to optimally drive the mechanism that powers these 3 pillars. Mr. Chairman, underpinning the above efforts is the ultimate institution of macroeconomic stability, which has eluded past governments since Kwame Nkrumah and Dr. Hilary Liman.
Yes.
The bedrock of this is the need for fiscal discipline through the curtailing of extravagantly heavy expenditures, fueled by non-productive, conspicuous government consumption. A resultant budget balance will eliminate the recurring budget deficits which have created unbridled spiraling inflation. To explain a little more, what is happening is that government is overspending, and that's what's the cause of our macroeconomic stability. And we are offering fiscal discipline so that we ensure that expenditures are virtually equal to what we have in terms of revenue.
So that's Emmanuel Anyidoho. He has in the past worked with the United Nations, worked with the African Union, the Finance Ministry, and he's a Harvard-trained economist. Now, the man who chose him, I'm talking about Dr. Mahama, the flag bearer of the PNC, had a few words to share about what informed his decision to have him as his running mate and how this will change the dynamics of the PNC going into this year's elections.
I'm describing the transformation that I have seen, because we are churning out about 50,000 graduates from tertiary institutions. 5,000 are get employment. The 45,000 have been transformed from being students to poor, unemployed young people. That is the transformation that I see. He should be asked to account for the first mandate from 2012. We still have schools under trees. We have massive unemployment. We have borrowed so much money. There are many areas where the president should be held to account to the people of Ghana. And in our book, in our view, the NDC has failed the people of Ghana. And that is why we are offering ourselves as the credible alternative to take over. Yes.
Threatened by some of these promises that are already being made on the campaign trail?
No, I don't feel threatened because Ghanaians can see through. They have been promised before and it didn't come through. How many times did we not end Dumso? How many times were we not promised? Even now, Dumso is there. Last night, the power went off where I am.
This is the fifth time you are contesting, and your party still appears to be in the minority. Well, what different thing are you bringing on board this time to make us take you as the alternative?
The new force. I have said 18 to 35-year-olds who are out there. Look 10, 20 years down the line in your own life. And if all you see is increased transportation costs, if all you see is increased light bill, if all you see is difficulty paying your rent when you have hired a room, then your choice is Edward Mahama and the new force.
In your description of your running mate, you made mention something interesting, that he's as humble as Jesus Christ. Why do you say that?
Because leadership in Africa tends to be very arrogant. They'll ask you, do you know whom you are talking to? That is not the kind of leader we want. We want a leader as humble as Christ. I'm going to be the next president of Ghana, and I'm telling you that I will bring about so much transformation in the public sector, civil sector, in the Ghanaian electorate. Why are you putting if I fail? I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to fail.
Probability is that.
Yes, it's a probability, but I'm not going to fail.
But what if that happens, sir?
It won't happen.
Are you going to run again?
It won't happen. It won't happen.
Doc, briefly, can you touch base on the three thematic areas?
The new beginnings, the new deal, the new force. The new beginning is a realization on the part of PNC that our institutions do not react to our situation. For example, in 2015, there was an outbreak of meningitis in Brong-Ahafo. It shouldn't kill more than 10 people because with the vaccine, you stop it. It killed over 150 people. Dumso, I have been keeping a book of power on since 1995. You can come and inspect it. And I've always known that this is a problem. But our government has never reacted in such a way that to stop it once and for all. So we want to bring about a transformation in the government sector, the public sector, that is responsive and reactive to situations. Then the New Deal. We used to be #1 producer of cocoa. Now we are not. We are going to make sure that we adjust the producer price of cocoa to incentivize Ghanaian farmers to make Ghana #1 producer. And I've said I did rice farming to go to America. I wasn't sent to America by government scholarship. I will lead Ghanaian rice farmers to produce enough rice to feed Ghana so that we'll reduce by 50% our rice import bill, which last year was $800 million to about $400 million in 2 farming seasons.
You appear to be giving your personal life experience on this new dawn you're talking about. But how do you intend to translate this into reality to make the people of Ghana believe what you're saying? It doesn't become just like one of those promises that is being made up.
That's why we are asking you to look at your own life. If you are, let's say, 25 now, and you are working and you don't have social security because your work is part-time, ask yourself, when I retire, as he mentioned, my running mate mentioned, what kind of benefits am I going to be on? So I'm asking people to look at their own condition. I know that where we have been and where we are coming from has not helped us a lot. As I said, how come that our planners didn't know that by the year 2016, the graduates from our tertiary institutions will be 50,000. So they didn't plan expansion of the economy to provide jobs for them. This is what I'm planning to do for the people of Ghana.
Right, so the PNC has clearly shown us what their ticket is. It's a Mahama Anyi Doho ticket for election 2016. But We'll get inside the head of Mr. Ayindoho a bit more, try to understand what will be so unique, or should I put it this way, what will be so sexy about the PNC ticket. We'll look at that after the break. Also, talk of those who are picking up their forms to contest in this year's elections. Mr. Akwesiada, you remember him as a DK in last year's elections. He will join us here later in the show to tell us why he still wants to be president of Ghana. Details after the break. Stay with us. And the countdown is on. 83 days to go to election 2016, and already the fever is beginning to build up. The PNC we know today has outdoored its running mates for Dr. Edward Mahama in the person of Mr. Emmanuel Ayindoho. He has in the past worked with the United Nations, worked with the African Union, and also the Finance Ministry. But what does he bring to this ticket? How will his candidature improve the fortunes of the PNC? Mr. Ayindoho joins us today in the studio for more on this. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And it has been quite a journey for you, hasn't it? From the announcement to your outdooring. How has it been for you?
Pretty exciting.
Okay.
And we are excited. We want to get on board fast.
Are you new to Ghana politics?
Not at all.
What's your political history?
Maybe I'll start from the pedigree of my father. Mm-hmm. My father was CPP chairman for Amansie district. That's Bekwai. And we learned about politics there. And then in the past, whereas I was with the Ministry of Finance, I was the chairman for a party in Tema West.
Which party?
Can I keep that undisclosed?
No, but once it's your political history, I'm sure it's public record.
Well. I can't comment on that.
You can't comment on that. But if you were chairman of another party, why leave to PNC?
Well, that's a long time ago.
How long ago was that?
About 1995.
95?
Yes.
Was it one of the new parties that was contesting?
95, there were a few parties.
A few.
Yeah.
So you're one of the few new parties contesting against the NDC at the time?
That time, you're trying to really put me down. But then there were just a few parties, yeah. And
you contested at that point?
I didn't contest.
You were chairman of the party?
I was chairperson for that constituency.
The constituency.
Yes.
So what happened to that party, and how come you left and joined the PNC?
Oh, great. At that time, the party was doing pretty well. Then I left the country for a while. And when I came back, it wasn't as good as it was.
That party was not as good as it was?
Yes.
Why? What happened? No money?
Oh, well, it's one of the big ones that I can assure you.
Why can't you mention the party's name? I'm just
well,
curious.
they know, their parties know. They know me.
So say
it. No, I can't.
You can't. Okay, so from that point up until now, you're saying that you were part of a new party before you left and joined the PNC. What made you come back to politics?
Good. Yeah, that's a very good question, because I came back to the country and I saw that things were not as good as it ought to be. The party started well, but today we realize that the pedigree of the parties as it is now is not satisfactory, and people are looking for a change.
And when you say pedigree is not satisfactory, in terms of what?
Well, in economic performance, in social performance, what do you call expectation of the people.
So what body of expertise do you bring to the PNC's presidential ticket?
Good. Basically, professionally, I'm a senior economist. And then in various ways, when you say economy is pretty wide, public finance, trade, evaluation, and then energy economics.
For anyone to look at you and say, your life and your record will convince me to vote for you, what are your own personal achievements that should inspire anyone to consider voting for you, and also Dr. Mahama?
Good. Professionally, in Ministry of Finance, I'm very well known. I'm the one who set up Ghana's first computerized expenditure monitoring unit in the 90s, when computers were like digital boxes, crystal boxes. And this was very impressive. I did a lot for the Ministry of Finance. They were very impressed, and were sad to see me leave when I joined the UN system.
So that was your key achievement at the ministry?
At that time.
What else did you do? What else have you done?
What else have I done?
Yes.
Oh, a lot of things.
Like?
We got to the ministry. I was the liaison officer between the ministry and central bank. Worked together with high-level people, including the former governor. I was also a member of the Public Finance Committee and the Open Market Operations Committee, which is the antecedent of the Monetary Policy Committee today.
So you say that things are wrong in the country, you want to fix it. Of all the parties you wanted to join, why the PNC?
Good. Great. The point of the fact is that I see Dr. Mahama as somebody who is visionary, patriotic, very clean, and very honest. And I think, with regards to my principles, I want to join somebody who is very clean and has a zeal and passion to change things for the better for this country. We heard him so much back in '96. People took him for granted because there was so much euphoria about the other people. Now they've seen them come and go. And they realize that people are realizing that they should have been listening to him.
On that point you make, some will make the counter-argument that, yes, Dr. Mahama, we've heard from him a number of times. The only time we didn't hear from him was in 2012. There was a new candidate for the PNC. Now he's back. What's changed?
What's changed is that the PNC tried a candidate, and they were not satisfied with the candidate, so they brought him back.
But they tried another candidate after he had gone successfully, and there was no result.
Yeah, that's the catch, because they thought they needed a change, and the change was not for good. So they had to bring him back.
And bringing him back with what record to win what election?
Well, still they know that he's astute, he's honest, and he's a visionary.
Okay, so for you, 3 months to go to the elections, what's your role here in helping the PNC make an appearance or win the election?
Good. Now the PNC is manned by a group of selfless technocrats who are not looking for anything to make their lives better. They've already got it. People who have been working in the diaspora, they've got their houses, they've got their cars, they don't need anything from anybody. All they want to do is serve their country.
And how do you intend to do that?
Good. Mine is that I know this country has good economists within the current government and in the past, but we believe that they've lost something. What they've lost greatly is ensuring that there's macroeconomic stability. And macroeconomic stability comes from fiscal discipline. And fiscal discipline means that you should not overexpend. And as long as we are having overexpenditure, which is causing continuous budget deficits, we'll still have this problem which is not being solved. So we need that fiscal discipline which can control expenditures. If there's possibility, we should cut down on expenditures.
But we heard the president yesterday when he gave details of his manifesto, his highlights of the manifesto. He says that the economy is on a sound footing, things are fine, he only wants to take it to the next level. So if there's no problem, why fix it?
Great. I think from their perspective, it's not a problem. But I'm very sure from the common man in the street, it's a problem. If people's salaries can't even cover their electricity bills, there's a problem. When people can't find means to pay for their children's education, there's a problem. When people's salaries can't take them home, there is a problem. The common man in the street feels it. And this is what we have realized after, as we go along, asking people. They say they don't want to vote for anybody. We say, you don't want to vote for anybody? What are you going to do? Just sit in the fence. It's your franchise. You should be able to vote. They say, well, we're tired of the other two. We don't know where to go. And we tell them what we have to offer, and then they come along. Okay.
Now, you say that, yes, you have a new deal, a new force, a new face. But give me the devil in that detail. What's new about the PNC?
Good. With these are the three pillars. You may just mention them. New beginnings, new deal, and new force. New beginning means it focuses on the public sector, making it efficient. We all know that the public sector is there. We can't do away with it. We need it. But the point is to get it very efficient. And this is what we want to do. And then when it comes to new deal, we are looking at the sectors like agriculture, industry, okay, and even services. And what's happening is that these sectors need support. But how do you support them when you don't have the funds, when you are running huge deficits?
So where will we find the funds if the PNC is to win? Where would you find the funds?
The funds are right here. They are within us. If you run budget deficits, when you are overspending, you can't fund anything. But if you turn around and you can run budget surpluses, you can make sure that your revenue exceeds your expenditure, or you cut down your expenditure, you will have money to fund and support things. Back in the Nkrumah days, a lot of things were being subsidized, especially in agriculture. Free fertilizer, free that, and free the pesticides and all that.
But free means expenditure. Free means government is taking on the cost.
It is expenditure. So you create that surplus yourself and use it to fund.
How do you create it?
Yeah, by making sure that your revenue exceeds your expenditure.
That's balancing the books. But realistically, how do you do it?
It's exactly as I said. You know, it's just like running your home. If you're able to ensure you have savings, you have surplus for something else.
But if you're saying now that in terms of our savings, they are bad, how do you get the savings in first to cut down on your stuff?
Good. So first of all, you cut down on expenditure. That's the cut. Italy tried it. When the politicians couldn't get in, they brought in technocrats. The first thing they did was to get rid of expensive government cars. And we can easily do that also. There's a lot of extravagant living by government officials, conspicuous consumption.
So you are an economist. I imagine that for the PNC ticket, you will be the economic brain behind this ticket.
Exactly.
That's your role in all of this.
Oh, there are others. There are others, but I'll be one of them.
Okay. So some will ask, yes, that's fine for governance and what you will do, but politically, what constituency do you bring? What clouds do you bring in drawing in those in the other parties to vote for the PNC?
Good. The point is that they are all looking for role models, people who are trying to sacrifice, and then they will follow the role models. That's all.
What if we are, for example, the lives of people to say, look, he's done this for me in the past. He is someone I know, a trusted person, a politician I can trust to do this. Point me to 2, 3 projects you've done in Ghana that anyone can look at and say, this is why I should vote for the PNC. Good.
The point of the fact is that maybe I've not been long enough to do philanthropic work. But I go to my village. I'm involved in a lot of projects over there.
What projects?
Like supporting education. Yeah.
How do you do that?
By providing support to primary schools on ICT projects.
As in you buy them computers or you offer training? What exactly do you do?
Both.
You do both.
Yeah.
Now you say this, but politically, I ask again because I've not got the clear answer. What constituency or political base do you bring to rack up the numbers for the PNC's presidential ticket? Because in the past, the performance for the PNC has not been good. Be it Dr. Mahama or the one who just contested and has left to form a new party, Hassan Ayariga. What do you seek to do to shore up those numbers and raise your numbers for this year's elections? Because some will say PNC may be good in terms of the personnel, but how do you convince the people and get in the numbers?
Good. We've been on trips to farming areas in the eastern and central region. And we've been able to convince, not convince farmers, they have rather come to us telling us their stories about how they have not been supported by past governments. There's a place where there's a need for a bridge, which has been sitting there for about 30 years. Parts of the bridge are there and it hasn't been built. And that village has declared that no bridge, no vote. And we told them that this bridge is very simple. It's something that they can do. It can be done in a short while. When we come to power, we'll provide the funds. And this is something which is very needed for their area to get to cut food, which they've produced. That same area we went, had a railway line which is defunct. It's a major central railway line running from Ajin, Kotoku to Takwa, which is actually supposed to bring in cocoa and everything to Tamaport. And this railway line is gone. It's a sad thing. If we want to...
You want to bring it back. How much will it cost us to bring back the railway line?
Well, I wouldn't give you a figure.
Why not?
I can't give you a figure.
Because if you've thought of it to revamp, you certainly have a plan.
It, right? The point is that you have to do pre-feasibility studies.
You haven't done that? Three months to one election?
We can't do that. We can't do that now.
Why?
Well, the point is that we are not the government in power, so how do we do it?
But if you're seeking to fix a problem, you need to know the problem and understand it before you even proffer a solution.
It's fairly clear. The problem is there. We can see it staring in our face, right? But I can get up and go and say that I'm going to do a pre-feasibility study on government's railway line. No one will allow me.
So it's about access.
Exactly.
To do it.
Yes.
So how then do you convince anyone that you can fix it? Because if you do not know the devil in the detail, how do you proffer a solution to a problem?
We can fix it if we are in government.
How do you know that?
Yeah, if we are in government, we can do that. It's fairly clear. A railway line is a public project. It's not a private project.
I understand that it's a private, it's a public project. But if successive governments have not done it, there's certainly a reason why it's not working. Do you know why?
Absolutely. Maintenance culture.
What does that mean?
Our maintenance culture is poor. If we had maintained our railroad lines, they would not have gone de facto. Now the railway is just between Accra and Nsawam and Accra and Tema.
Okay, so now you're seeking to make this ticket a lot more attractive for the PNC. Are you the one to bring in that constituency in the Volta region, cut into the NDC's votes and win some of them. Is that your plan?
Not really. I don't think that is it.
Then what is
but
it?
I'm very sure that being a son of the land, with the Volta region, we heard in the past that they've been making agitations, that they've been the World Bank and etc., and that they haven't got their development dividends. If they feel that we appeal to them and we can do something to help them, we'll help them. But the point of the fact is that we are not going to be parochial and say that, hey, I'm coming to just help the Volta region. Our aim is Ghana first. It's cut across all regions.
But you are in it to win it, and history shows that if there are strongholds, you need to get in there and get as much as you can to win the election,
doubt.
to even carry out your
I think
objectives.
all politicians do that.
So what's the PNC stronghold then?
Well, the PNC stronghold, I know, is largely the north, and then some parts of the south.
But it hasn't won the election.
It hasn't won us. And now we are going on, to use a German word, blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, that's lightning war.
Lightning war?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Lightning war is that you move fast.
And how would you do that?
Yeah, we just ride on the goodwill of the people. The good of the people is that they are tired of the two parties.
Okay. Now, PNC, the ticket is now clear. It's a Mahama Anyidoho ticket. Have you gone to pick up your nomination forms?
We just did that this morning.
You did that this morning?
Yes.
So you have the 50,000 CDs to pay?
Without it, we couldn't have paid it up.
So you have it?
Yeah.
Because I remember that, I know that one of your executives has already gone to court asking that the prices be reduced. So why go ahead to pick up the form?
Good. We are very law-abiding. We will accept to do things, right? Even if we have to protest. The point is that it's not only PNC which is protesting, the other parties are also protesting.
But if you're heading to court to question the decision of the price, why go into pick it and still pay?
It's not really questioning. It's a question of fairness. Others are also asking for it. So if our party has spearheaded that, that's fine. But the point of the fact is that our flag bearer asked one question, right? That, for example, if there is an average Ghanaian who may have been earning about 400 cedis a month, can he afford to pay 10,000 to stand as a parliamentarian? So the 10,000 is too high.
So for the PNC, will this affect the number of candidates you field for this year's election?
It applies to all parties.
But for the PNC in particular, if you say you can't pay, does that mean that less and less of your candidates will contest in this year's elections?
Yeah, we are still resource mobilizing. If we have the funds and it's still the rule, we'll get the money and pay.
Okay. Mr. Anyidoho, thank you for coming today.
Great.
Pleasure to see you. And I'm sure that as we prepare feverishly for the elections, it's 83 days to go, you will be hearing more of the PNC and what they intend to do to convince you to vote for them in this year's elections. We'll go for a short break now, but when we come back from one party to the next, this time is the UPP. And this time, Akwesi Osei, popularly known as Odike, has now gone to pick up his nomination form. We will find out from him what he seeks to do for Ghana and why he's even thinking of running again to be president of the country. Stay with us. Details after the break. Live on your election headquarters. This is The Pulse. My name is Francis Ahmed. It's now time to still work our way around your options for this year's elections and who you will vote for. In the 2012 elections, you will recall that name, Odike. Well, he's still around. In fact, he's seeking to contest yet again in this year's election for the second time of asking. What's new about him? What has he learned from the last election? What will he do differently? That's what we will seek to find out from him this afternoon here on the show. Akwesi Osei joins me now. He is now with the United Progressive Party. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Been a while. Where have you been?
I'm still around.
Doing what?
Into my serious business organizations and my politics.
Politics. Yeah. But when you're not doing politics, I mean, for the past 3 to 4 years, you've not been doing politics, have you?
Come again?
For the past, since the last election, have you been doing politics up until now? Because we haven't had
when politics is over, we go back to our business life.
And your business life as what?
As an entrepreneur, CEO of Odike Ventures, and our numerous companies, the conglomerate.
Before we get into what's in store for us looking ahead into this year's election, Do you know why you lost the election in 2012?
Yes.
What happened?
There were some internal wranglings within our party. And again, it was my first time, and the experience wasn't all that good. But this time around, I've learned a lot, and it has shaped up my life.
Now, you've left the United Front Party to set up your own party, the United Progressive Party. Why?
Because I want to lead my people into economic freedom.
But you know that in politics, there are always divisions in a party. Why not fix the problems in that party, but rather set up your own?
And you see, getting out of the party is also part of conflict resolution.
Really?
But, yeah.
Which part of conflict resolution says if you can't fix your problems in the party, step out and create a new one?
If I'm entangled with you, and we've tried every possible means and we can't come together, the next option is to be apart.
Leave and create your own.
Precisely. It's also another way of solving problem.
Now, in 2012, you're with your UFP. Now you're with the UPP. What's new about Udike?
Yes, I will show Ghanaians the new me. I've studied the cravings of the people of this country, and I've come to realize that they are expecting two things from their leadership. One is job creation, and the other is wealth creation. And as a business mogul, is our embodiment.
Is that what you call yourself, a business mogul?
Of course, yes.
What does it take to be a business mogul? How much money do you need to be a business mogul?
Not about the money, but how many times do you fall and bounce back?
How many times have you fallen?
So many times.
Count, how many times?
Countless.
And yet you are still in the game?
Precisely.
Okay, so UPP Udike 2016, what are you offering us? Why should we even consider voting for you?
Thank you. Ghanaians are looking up to somebody who will fix the economy. The economy is the deepest cravings for every Ghanaian. That has been their number one priority.
Their deepest what?
Cravings.
What does that mean?
What they are expecting, what they need is how the economy will be well so that everybody will be happy.
Okay.
So our economy is in a mess, and Ghanaians are looking up to somebody who will fix the economy.
How will you fix the economy?
Thank you. First and foremost, private sector is the engine for the growth of every economy. And there are certain micro indicators that must prevail in order to make private sector take its core mandate, core function. First is to fix a consistent lending rate. It's very important. Keep it as low as possible. Secondly, is inflationary figures, to keep them as low as possible. And then the control supply of money is also very important. Government expenditure, keeping the government expenditure within budgetary allocation.
How will you do that? You say that quite elaborately, but how would you do it? It's one thing mentioning it, it's another telling us how you do it.
Fine. Listen, if the government stop borrowing from the banks will have enough money to reduce interest rate for businesses to come for it.
So where should they borrow from?
They borrow from the banks.
So where should they borrow from? Because you're saying they should stop. So where should they borrow from?
The government?
Yes.
Government takes taxes to develop the country.
So government should tax us more instead of borrowing?
No, widen the tax net. It's very important. If you overtax the people, it's a recipe for low production.
How do you widen the tax net?
You see, a lot of people are in business and their locations are not even known. The Ghana Revenue Service Authority has to locate every business so that they will invite them or they will go to them and do the appropriate checks to find out how they are going about their businesses. And by so doing, they can also know the position of their business, their location, and everything. So we are going to employ more people to go out there and, talk to businesses and take the taxes.
That's how you intend to widen the taxes?
Of course, yes, because if you sit in your office expecting business people to come to you and pay their taxes, they won't come.
So you have to find them?
We have to find them. We have to find them. We have to know their locations and everything. Then we can go after them for the taxes.
Okay. Now, you've talked about economic empowerment, but what would you also do differently to improve education in Ghana?
Our educational system now is, for me, is not answering to the demands of the industries. We are placing more emphasis on technical and vocational education. Practicals is very important. There's a saying that he who feels it knows it. A lot of our people, they are in the JHS. They haven't even feel a tool, which it is in the textbook. We are going to build a community workshop stuffed with all the tools and science equipment, and it will be a shared facility for every district, and the bus will be provided to bring the people to and from their various.
So you are now promising one district, one community workshop?
Precisely, it's very important. Practicals are, we are going to place more premium on practical education.
So DK, one district, one community workshop?
And science resource center combined.
So yours is 1 to 2 or 1 to 1?
1 to 2.
1 to 2.
Yeah.
So one district, one community workshop, and science laboratory.
Precisely.
That's it.
Yes.
That's how you intend to help improve education in Ghana.
We are changing. We want to depart from theoretical aspect of education to that of practicals.
Practicals. Okay. Because agriculture is also a very big engine in driving any economy. What would you do in that regard as well?
Agriculture is the backbone of our economy, and over the years, successive government hasn't taken agricultural activities seriously. Irrigation facilities, as I'm speaking to you now, is of prime concern of people in agri sector.
But NDC is doing it. MPP says they have one dam, one village.
And if you go up north, all the food crops are not doing well because of rainfall. The rainfall pattern changes, and it affects their crops.
So what will you do different?
We are going to construct boreholes in those farms.
What kind of boreholes?
Boreholes which we draw underground water.
Mm-hmm. But that's the same thing the MPP said they will do.
MPP has been in power before, and NDC is still in power, and the farmers doesn't see it.
They don't see what?
These irrigation facilities.
So you can provide it?
Of course, yes.
How much money would you need to do it? Do you know?
When we get there, we shall cross the bridge.
Mr. Sorry, Mr. Adai, you don't know how much this will cost, but you're promising it.
My brother, let me tell you, if you place emphasis, if you are focused on something, it doesn't matter how much it will cost you.
You should know your source of funding for anything you want to.
We have every money. We have plenty money in this country.
So you go find it anyway.
Money is no problem at all. Ghana is a rich country which doesn't need even to borrow money outside.
So where in this country are you going to find the money? How would you get the money?
We are going to create jobs, and at the tail end of it, the corporate entities and the businesses will pay their taxes
to finance
all the projects, not only boreholes, all the projects in this country.
Mm.
Yes, that is what government has to do. Government has to empower the private sector, and in return, the government takes taxes to develop the nation.
Okay, what is your slogan for this year's election?
Ghanaians, wake up and live.
Wake up and live?
Yes.
Why?
We have to wake up from
but Ghanaians are not sleeping. Did they say they are sleeping?
We have to wake Ghanaians up from our slumber and live, because everybody is suffering. So we need to shake the four walls of this country and go for a change.
And everybody is having problems because they are sleeping, and they should wake up.
the leadership is sleeping and it has triggered down to the people.
And so we should wake up.
Yes, we should wake up and live.
Wake up and live.
Yes.
How would you say that when you're on the campaign platform?
Ghana, wake up and live.
In Twi, how would you say it?
Ghana for Monsore na yenyina.
Yenyina.
Yes.
Okay. So in the last election you lost.
Yeah.
What's the guarantee that you can win this one?
Well, let me tell you, my brother, as at this point, every political party doesn't have votes. We are all waiting for the votes. So depending on how you organize yourself, how you reach out to the people, how your message will get down to the people.
How are you doing yours any different for me to say that, okay, Odikese is different and I want to vote for him?
We are embarking on house-to-house campaigning, talking to the people one-on-one, and we don't need to organize tumultuous rallies. We are talking to the people, disseminating our information to the grassroots, and we are galvanizing a lot of votes.
How much will you spend for your campaign?
In actual fact, I cannot tell the general public, because all these things, after the elections, we have to go and account for.
Okay. In the last election, how much did you spend?
In the last elections?
22. How much did you spend for your campaign?
In actual fact, all these things we don't disclose in public.
Why not?
Because we have to present these accounts.
But you've presented the 2012 one already, haven't you?
Yes, it is only between us and the EC. And if you want to find out, you can go to EC and check it.
But if you believe in transparency and the fact that Ghanaians or government should tell us how our monies are spent, why can't you tell us how much you spent for your campaign?
Why
you want to be my president? Why can't you tell me that?
Why do we have to disclose our tax position to the public? It's not good business practice.
This is not business. This is politics. This is you trying to win power.
Yes,
it's not a private business.
But it's not my private. It's business, because we are rendering accounts to the EC. EC is the only institution that we have to do that to.
What's your source of funding?
Yes, we are sourcing funding from individuals and companies who are interested in our message.
So companies in the past have actually sponsored your party?
Why not? It's Ghanaian companies, and it doesn't conflict with the political party laws.
Okay. Have you got to pick up your forms?
Yes, please.
I hear there were some issues when you're going to pick it up. What happened?
Some people falsified my signature to pick it on my behalf. But fortunately for me, they are in the grips of the police.
Who are these people?
They are there with the Abdabraka police now.
Do you know them?
Actually, they used to be our party members, and they said they don't want to be part this time around. And I don't know what informed them to do that. So the police are investigating them, and I don't want to make their work more difficult. I don't want to comment more about it.
So this new party you've created, people have already left and are trying to go pick up forms on your behalf?
Yes.
Mr. Adai, you left UFP. There were internal wranglings. You left. You've created your own party. People are leaving and are picking forms on your behalf.
Look, political parties,
you can't keep your house in order.
Political parties, these things are bound to happen. Internal wranglings are part of political ramifications.
So will you leave this one and create a new one?
No. Everything has been resolved. So we are moving on.
But if it has been resolved, someone will not go and pick forms on your behalf when you haven't told them to.
Yes. It's human nature. Anybody thinks differently. So I don't know what the rationale behind it.
Were you able to get enough to pay 50,000 cedis?
We are not paying yet. We are just going through the filing process. The date is 28 that we will submit our application forms and the money.
How many seats are you contesting for? UPP, how many seats are you contesting for?
We are looking at to about 50.
50? Just 50?
Yes.
It means you're not into it.
We are winning popular votes. We are winning popular votes and not concentrating too much on the parliamentary. If you go to Benin, independent candidate was the president. Their past president was independent candidate. He had his 8 years, and the one in power now is also an independent candidate. We are looking for a time that Ghanaians will understand.
Do you think Ghanaians are ready for you, an independent candidate?
Elsewhere, it is possible.
That's elsewhere. Are Ghanaians ready for you?
We can also replicate it here.
We can.
Of course, yes.
What will it take?
Message.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir, for coming today.
Thank you.
And your message again is?
Ghanaians, wake up and live. And upcoming elections are going to be a tough one. Ghanaians, open up your eyes. A lot of parties will come and, trying to induce you. Don't take it.
You won't induce them?
At all.
With nothing?
Nothing.
Shoes, watches, money?
You see, commercial democracy is dangerous. A purchasing mandate is not good.
Did you do that in 2012?
No.
You never bought any votes in this country?
At all.
If we check the records, we won't see it.
Go and check it for yourself.
Odike did not buy votes?
Go and check it for yourself.
You did not?
We don't indulge ourselves in such nefarious practices.
You didn't buy food, buy bowls, go to rallies, share T-shirts?
My brother, T-shirts are paniferious. It's not something to induce the people.
The food?
The food, if I give you food, is it a bribe?
At a rally to vote for you?
If you come to my rally and I give you food, is it a bribe?
I don't know, you tell me.
It's not. Food is food.
So you determine what bribe is and what is not. So even if you give me a bowl and say, oh, you came for my rally, it's not a bribe.
Come again, I don't get it.
A bowl or a bucket to say thank you for coming for my rally. It's not bribe.
The experience that I deduced from the last election is that some political parties goes to the electors, give them money, and tell them to swear to vote for them. That is bribe.
Did you do some?
No.
You never did?
I don't do that.
UFP will not tell us that you did?
I don't do that.
You've never done it?
No.
And you won't do it?
I won't do it.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that between now and December 7, you will decide who you vote for in this year's elections. We'll go for a quick break. Now we'll come back and bring you sports. Gary L. Smith is all ready and set with some details for you. Stay with us.